Hello, cruising croppers. Well, today on Find Your Journey, we're going to tell you all about our magnificent trip on the Rhine River. Last month, Sarah and I got to go on a AmaWaterways Christmas markets cruise, and it was kind of a last-minute decision. And just really about 2 weeks before the trip, we booked this trip. And so it was kind of a whirlwind getting ready for it, but we had so much fun. It was fantastic. So again, we are on AmaWaterways, and we are on the AmaStella, and she has a beautiful ship. And we just wanted to go through kind of port by port to tell you what river cruising is like. I know a lot of you probably haven't been before, but it's definitely something that you want to put on your bucket list and plan a trip right away. So let's start. I got my little notes here. First we started, we flew into Amsterdam. And as with any trip, what we recommend, if you are flying, most of the flights from the US are overnight. And you would want to try your best to sleep on the plane, but when you arrive, you need to try your best to stay awake for as long as possible to really reset your internal clocks and enjoy the most of your vacation. Because you don't want to get on the ship and go to sleep right away. No. You're going to miss out. So what we did is Ama had arranged a private transfer for us from the airport. The representatives were just right there in baggage claim. They made it so easy. They walked us right to our private Mercedes sedan. We were a little spoiled on this private transfer, but very first class, and we had a lot of fun pushing all the buttons in the back of the car on the way with the tinted windows and everything. So that was a nice little start to our vacation. We knew right away that this was not a contemporary cruise. This was a luxury cruise experience, and that really got us excited. So we got to the ship, and we were there really early, like 7 or 8 in the morning. So the ship hadn't been turned over. Some of the old passengers were still on, waiting for their airport transfers to go home. So our rooms weren't ready yet, but they took our luggage and stored it for us, no problem. And got us checked in, got us coffee. We could go have some snacks because we needed coffee and breakfast. So they had all of that available to us. And then we took off into Amsterdam. So on foot. We're ready to vacation and ready to get this started. So we walked into Amsterdam. It was really fun trying to read the street names and navigate on our map. And we had another friend with us who assured us that she had great sense of direction.
Not so much.
No. So we did our best and walked around and decided let's just keep walking into town. And I said, well, I've been to Amsterdam once, but never walked by Anne Frank House. So again, we had booked this trip so late. We really kind of forgot about even checking to see if they had tickets. And with different protocols happening right now, you do have to have a ticket. They do not have a standby line, and all the tickets were gone. So we didn't get to go inside, but I wanted to walk by it, and we thought, okay, let's at least navigate in that direction. So we did get to walk by the Anne Frank House. So that was pretty cool. And of course, it's just great to walk along all the different canals. Amsterdam actually has 165. It's a big labyrinth of man-made canals, and they are lined with about 2,500 houseboats. People live there. You pay a lot of money to buy these houseboats. I think you don't have to pay a whole lot to dock there, but the boat itself is, a lot of them are pretty dumpy looking, and you're like, they're probably $1 million houseboats just because they're parked in Amsterdam, location. So it was really fun to get to look at all the houseboats and all the plants hanging on the houseboats and all the different types. So that's something really fun in Amsterdam. We found some shops that we went in. Of course. We found a cheese store. So we have to find some cheese. And this place was sampling lots of different types. So, of course, we sampled some cheese, and then we all bought something to bring home. I brought home a had cumin in it. So I just thought that was really unique and different, and it tastes delicious. What did you bring?
I think it was just an herb, garlic herb.
Garlic herb. Have you opened it yet?
It's half gone.
Half gone. Okay. So I've started eating mine too. And then Amsterdam is a great place for museums. We did not go to any of the museums, but they have over 70 museums, so all different types of museums. Even a cheese museum, so it was pretty tempting, but we didn't go there. And so Amsterdam is known for their chocolates, their cheese, and their stroopwafels. So nice little delicacy for you while you're there. So then we got back on the ship. Our rooms were ready, and the crew just took great care of us. Great spot. We were on the second level. So on a river cruise, there's only typically 3 levels of rooms. So on the bottom level, level 1 is half of it's the cruise quarters, and then the other half are ocean view rooms, where it just kind of has a little transom window, just like this up here.
It's a little bigger.
Longer, but just a little peek out, and your window's above water, but your whole stateroom is not. We're on the second level. Our room had both an inside balcony and an outside balcony. So the inside one, the window did come down if you wanted to open up the room, or you could actually step outside onto a balcony. So that was interesting to have both options. And then there's a third level where usually most of the suites are located, and probably your larger rooms. So it's nice and quaint. It's very easy to get around. So no matter which type of stateroom you choose, you're in a great location. There's really not a bad location, because you're going to be close to the dining room and the lounge, which is where you spend most of your time on board. So we set off sailing, and
we overnighted.
We overnighted in Amsterdam. That's
yes.
right. Yes. And so we got to go into Amsterdam again the next day, and on a canal cruise. So it picked us up really close to the ship, just a really short walk, and we got on the canal cruise, and they toured us all around. And so that was fun, because the day before we were just walking by ourselves, and there's so many things that we didn't notice or didn't know about Amsterdam. But on the canal cruise, we had a local guide, and she talked, the whole time telling us all about Amsterdam and the different buildings, and how the staircases are so narrow in those canal houses.
Oh, yeah.
That they actually have to lift up on a pulley your furniture to get
in the window.
Through your window.
Yeah.
So it's got to be pretty scary seeing, your grand piano hoisted up on a pulley getting delivered to your room. So typically speaking, people own, the entire level. And they were always taxed on how wide the house was. So if you saw something and that's why they were so skinny and tall, they just kept going up. There were some places that were multiple widths of a house, and those were considered palaces. And some of the richer shipmen back in the day would own those and things like that. So it's really cool to hear the history.
Yeah.
So so then the next day we got on board. We got our dining table. Typically on a river cruise, it's open dining, so you could end up sitting with different people and having different waiters each night. It's a very small dining room, because most river cruises only have 200 or less passengers. Yeah. So the open dining concept is great, because throughout the week you could meet new people and be like, hey, let's have dinner together. So that's a really nice option. Because of COVID, they did assign us seats, but we were traveling with our friends, so we were perfectly okay with this. And I don't think they would have been real strict had we said we want to sit with these new people for the night. I think they would have accommodated that, but they're just trying to keep everybody as safe as possible. So they're doing their due diligence. And so we loved our waiter and our bar guy. I don't know what you call our bar waiter.
The guy with the wine.
The guy with the wine. So on river cruising, beer and wine and soda are included with lunch and dinner. And it's they always have a suggest their main one for the day, and that changed throughout the week, and it changed from lunch to dinner, and they were just pouring all the time.
Your glass never went empty.
Yeah. So if you wanted more than one glass, no problem. They're going to keep pouring. So that's really nice to be able to sample a lot of different types of wines from a lot of your local regions that you're sailing through. So that's something really special about river cruising. So the next day we were in Colone, Germany, and the locals don't pronounce this Colone. What do they say? I feel like I wrote it down. Let me see if I did. Kern.
Kern, that's right.
Yes,
Kern.
they pronounce it Kern.
Kern.
So in case somebody says they went to Kern, Germany, you'll know that's Cologne, Germany to us Americans. So here we chose an active walking tour. So this particular port, they had an easy walking tour, a regular, and an active. So the easy walking tour, you're not going to hardly walk at all. It may include some bus trips as well. They're going to make it as easy as possible for you if you have difficulty walking. Moderate is just very regular. It's great for the masses. And then they offer active walking tours, which means the pace could be a little bit faster, but it also means because of your walking faster, you're going to see more. So your tours may be longer, but you're going to get to see more things in the city. So this particular time we did the active walking tour, and we did see quite a bit. So they're going to walk you down areas that the other tours didn't get to see. So if you are physically able to do the active walking, it's not super fast, but if you're in good physical shape, I definitely recommend choosing the active every time. We had all age groups on our active walking tour, so it's definitely not for a particular age group. Just have to be able to be on your feet and be willing to walk a little bit faster than a moderate pace. So Cologne boasts the world's tallest church, and they kind of had lost this title for a while and decided they weren't okay with that, so they dug down and made in the basement their main entrance to the church, giving them that extra
6 feet or so.
6 feet, whatever, for that extra level, then making them the world's tallest church again. So they will keep this title until the Sagrada La Familia, I always say that wrong, Familia, in Barcelona is finished. Once that church is finished, it's been under construction forever. Once that's finished, that will become the tallest church. But for now, the people of Kern, they have the tallest church. They're very proud of that. So, this city, 92% of it was destroyed during the war. So a lot of it has been rebuilt since World War II. They are still finding under all of these ruins buildings and things the Romans had built early on. So that's really interesting. They're constantly doing archaeological digs and finding, sites and discovering buildings that are underneath their current city. So that's pretty cool. Cologne, as we know, perfume Cologne. This was where they created the first scent. This first one was called 4711. Was the first perfume, but then another guy came along and created the Colone and claims to be the first, but this was the first, and so there was a big kind of conspiracy about who really came up with the idea behind our modern day cologne. They told a really fun story about the Germans and the tailor's wife, and back in the day, and they have statues and everything to represent these gnomes. The Germans, they said they were very lazy, and they really didn't want to do work in general. It's specifically complete buildings. If a building's under construction, it's under construction forever because they say they're lazy, and they would just not really work during the day, and at nighttime the gnomes would come out and finish all of their work. So because of the gnomes, the Germans got to be lazy.
And things got done. Buildings got built.
Because of the gnomes. So there's a story that the tailor's wife was curious about these gnomes and she wanted to see the gnomes. So she decided to put some frozen peas, down a staircase and thought, well, when they start walking and start working tonight, I'll hear them and that noise will wake me up. A pea, I don't know how that would wake you up. Smush, smush. It's not that loud. But that was going to wake her up, and indeed it did. So she woke up and she saw the gnomes and it scared them away. So they left. They fled the city. And since then, buildings, they don't ever get done. And the Germans, they can't be lazy anymore, but they still blame. If something is taking too long to be built, they say, it's the tailor's wife. Mrs. Schneider. It's her fault. It's because of Mrs. Schneider. She scared away our gnomes. So that's their excuse for everything. So it's pretty fun. So in Kern, we got to visit our first Christmas market, and we didn't really know what to expect with Christmas markets. I was really a little bit green with the whole idea of them, but what it is they're little outside festivals, and they have these beautiful little buildings that each vendor's in. Kind of if you've been to like Disney Food and Wine Festival, and they have beautiful buildings that you go up and order food from. They're so cute, and it's different than when you go to festivals in maybe your local town where everybody just has a 10 by 10 pop-up tent.
Yeah.
So this was definitely elevated version of a market. So I enjoyed looking at all the cute buildings and the way they had them decorated. So they would have different markets throughout the city. So they weren't really connected, but they had different size markets and different places you could go. The city was strung with lights and beautiful decorations all over the city. So businesses would decorate their doors and lots of Christmas lights. So at night it was just beautiful. They really went all out making these markets very special. I think it was in Kern that they had ice skating rink in one of them.
I had 5.
So he said it was, they had like 5 different sections of the city. So our tour guide's like, you know what? The popular drink there is the glue wine. And it's basically mulled wine, hot wine, red wine with spices in it. He says, very popular. That's what you have to get when you go there. So he said, the best thing is to go to the ice skating rink and watch people try to ice skate after they've been drinking this glue wine all night. So that was pretty cool. We did try some glue wine. So we had different opinions about it. But
I didn't care for it.
Yeah. I didn't think it was bad, but it was good. So definitely had to try it. You can't go on a Christmas market cruise and not try it. That's the thing to try. We also had fun trying lots of other delicacies throughout the week that, their local specialty. I think here we got some apple, was it an apple pastry with Nutella?
With Nutella.
Basically, if they advertised they had Nutella there,
we got it.
We got it. So we got it a couple more times throughout the week because it had Nutella in it. And we love Nutella, and it was just all fresh and yummy. So the different things they sell at the markets are lots of Christmas ornaments, food you can take home, like packaged food that they've made, and you can take it home with you. As well as stuff you would eat right away. And leather items, jewelry, kids' toys, hats, scarves,
gloves.
all sorts of stuff. So it was pretty fun to look around at the markets. And our advice to you is if you see something you like,
buy it.
Buy it.
But you're not going to find it again.
And you're probably not going to find your way back to that booth again.
No.
And we didn't really know what to expect. This was our first Christmas market. And so we didn't buy a whole lot. And then I had regrets when we left. Because by the time we went to the other Christmas markets, I didn't find that same thing. And I wanted that thing I saw back in Colone, and I couldn't get it. So definitely just go for it, buy it. Most of the vendors do take credit cards, which is nice, but if you have the local currencies, in our case was pretty much euros the whole time, then you can pay with that as well. So it's always good to have some cash. That night, we were in town really late that night, which was cool because we, even after our walking tour and after we did the Christmas markets, we went back on board, we had dinner, and then we got back off the ship again. So we ended up just taking a little walk ourselves along the bridge.
The lock bridge.
The lock bridge.
There's thousands of locks.
Thousands of locks. Sarah is there somewhere, right? That's
yes,
where you put
I
yours?
have a lock there somewhere.
She was there previously with her husband, and we did not put a lock on the bridge. Next time when I'm there with my husband, we'll add one to it. But thousands. I don't even know how this bridge still stands. I've heard on some European bridges they have to cut the locks off, like on a yearly basis. But this bridge, we saw some as far back as like '07.
Yeah.
So I don't know how often or if they ever do. But there could have been older ones buried because they kind of, once the first layer is full, they start locking them on other locks. And it gets very thick as well. It's pretty cool. So I liked when we walked over the other side of the bridge, then you could see the city all lit up, and we could see the ship all lit up. And Ama did a great job decorating the outside of their ship with garland and Christmas lights, which we noticed very few other brands of river cruises did. It really made us feel special every time we got on the ship. So that was Cologne, Germany. And the next day we went to Rudesheim, and this is a small little town, very small population of people that live there regularly. There, we took the vineyard walking tour, so this was really fun. I've been to a couple vineyards in California, but never really walked through the vineyards. The vineyards were already harvested, so basically what was left was the vines with no leaves. And a lot of the vines had been cut and some hadn't. But we got a really good education of the different types of ways you can grow grapevines. So that was really neat to see. Our guide was very knowledgeable of grape growing. He was actually he was retired from Frankfurt and was in baking, and he said he was ready to, he's now working for a vineyard, so he does some tour guide trips on the side, and so he knew a lot about winery and growing of grapes. So that was really cool to be up close and personal and get to walk around the vineyard. And one thing I thought was really cool, because last time I was on this river cruise, I just assumed when you saw a big field of vines, that was all the one person's business. But it's actually, they are like almost like football size fields worth of, different vineyards own that. So, which is kind of cool. They really diversify where they grow their vines, and just in case something were to happen, weather-wise or fire or something happened to that one field, they still have other fields all over the place. So it's not just one vineyard. I thought that was pretty cool. So this port is also famous for Siegfried's mechanical musical cabinet. Basically, it's a museum of self-playing instruments. So we didn't choose this excursion, but that was also offered if you wanted to do that. And then at night, they offered us a second excursion.
Which we signed up for.
Yes.
But we didn't make it. Because Cheri wanted to get off the ship.
I'm sorry, I thought I had time.
No, I kept telling her, it's time to go, it's time to go. So finally, we get off the ship to go to the, meet the train. We're going to get on a little choo-choo train to go back into the town, which we already walked to and back from.
Yeah. I was very excited about the train. I had just told my little boy, I'm going on a choo-choo train.
Yeah, we missed the train because they left.
They left.
But we saw a train down the street. We're like, that must be our train. So we started running and running, and we caught up to the train. but it was not ours.
It's not ours. It actually belonged to the other AmaWaterways ship. It was waiting for that group of people.
Yes. So we told the people on the ship. They called the
Cruise manager.
And told them we were coming. We were late, but we're walking. So we walked all the way back into town. But we could not find the little coffee shop we were supposed to go to for our Rudesheim coffee.
Yeah, most of the places had already closed for the night, and it was in a place that had opened special for this excursion.
Right.
So there wasn't a big sign out, coffee this way. It was at a restaurant.
Cheri tried to go into some guy's house.
I knocked on some random door, and he actually was like, "Oh, are you from the ship?" I mean, he
yeah,
knew.
He's like, "Oh, you're late.
You're late. You're late for the excursion."
He told us how to get there, but we didn't really understand.
So
we missed it.
We missed it, but that's all right. We heard it's famous. It's Rudesheim coffee. So what it is, it's a specialty drink that is ceremoniously made with black hot coffee mixed with 3 cubes of sugar and brandy, served with thickly whipped cream, vanilla sugar, and a splattering of dark chocolate shavings on top. So the excursion showed how they made this, and they light it on fire and everything with the flame. And we did. Our friends were on. They didn't miss the choo-choo.
No,
they got to drink the coffee. They were like, it's coffee. So they were trying to make us feel better for missing it, but I was pretty mad that we missed the excursion.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is
arrive early.
Arrive early. Don't walk off the ship at the moment that it's supposed to leave.
No.
Just be there like 15 minutes early and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So
we then walked back.
We then walked back, and then we decided
to go for a run.
Maybe that was before dinner.
It might have been before.
So we did our vineyard tour, and then we got back to the ship, and we're like, we're trying to be good and run. But so we're like, oh, let's run. We're gonna be here late, so we ran along the Rhine River. So this was pretty much the coolest run ever.
Yes.
So I was glad we did it. But then we made it back just in time for dinner, and then after dinner was this coffee excursion. So we had already walked into town once for our excursion, the vineyard trip, and then we ran into town, and then we ran after the choo-choo, and so 3 times into town we got our exercise that day.
9 miles.
Yeah, we did good. All right, so the next morning we were cruising
along the Rhine River.
And we got to see castles.
30 castles.
30 castles. So the castles along the Rhine, it's really great. They give you this is a little beat up, but they give you a map and they tell you where you're going to see the castles and a list of what you're seeing. So that's really fun that they give you the list. Some of the castles are ruins, some have been made into hotels, some are private residences. So they kind of, your cruise manager typically talks to you the whole time that you're going through this Rhine River Gorge, which is about 3 hours or so. So it was a really cold, windy, rainy day.
The coldest day.
The coldest day.
Yeah.
So in a perfect world, it's a beautiful day outside, and you go sit up on deck, and you watch all these beautiful castles. But I stayed inside in the lounge where it was warm, and I could see out the windows.
I went up on top.
They're like
coats
bundles,
and gloves and blankets
so
and
much.
scarves, and sat up there.
Yeah, her and Aaron braved the weather to see the castles and to get those good pictures.
They brought us hot coffee.
Yeah.
Well, it was hot when they started bringing it to us.
Yeah, they brought more Rudesheim coffee, so that was good. Yeah, it was hard to keep it hot for everyone. I told her even the ones we got inside weren't hot anymore because not just because she was outside
in the 30-degree weather.
Yeah,
in the rain.
I just hopped out of my chair every time we were going past the castle to take a picture off the front of the ship. That was better than sitting outside in the cold.
It was worth it. It was worth it.
It was a good experience for her. That was awesome. So then we went to Speyer. We actually docked in Rudesheim, and it's more of an industrial area of town. From there, you could choose between going to Speyer or going to Heidelberg and to see the castle. So originally we were going to go to Heidelberg because they had Christmas markets there, and unfortunately that city shut them down before our trip. So we chose Speyer instead because Speyer did have Christmas markets, and we're like, well, we're on this cruise to go to all the Christmas markets that we can go to. So we started out with a bus ride to Speyer, and then we joined up with a tour guide, and she walked us around the downtown area. We got to see a Protestant church. This church, you could walk down into the crypts, which were
That was
pretty interesting. Something different. And then she walked us to the old Jewish quarters. So the Jews actually left this area of left Speyer long before World War II, but they have discovered some ruins and things there that in all of the they call them quarters. I mean, just the buildings, and all the Jews lived around in that same area, and they had an old Jewish bath. So it was more of a ceremony thing where they would, you had to go down.
It's pretty deep
into the ground, and there was a pool of water down there. Obviously, they would keep that cleaner if they were actually using it. They had a little changing room, and then another staircase down into the bath, and it's kind of like you went down there by yourself, and you bathed really before your wedding, is really what they were talking about it, right? Before Sunday morning, or
I was
I
a
don't
little
know.
confused. I don't know.
We don't know why there was a special bath, but I actually took pictures of all the things that described why that was there, but I haven't read them
You
yet.
should read them.
I should read them. Should have read them before this. But it was cool to see, regardless, and they did have the ruins of the old church, and how back in those days the one church was for the men, and then there was a second room for the women, and it had a window to look in so that they could hear and barely see, but they could at least hear what was being said, but they had to sit separately. So that's cool. So their Christmas markets there was much smaller scale. It wasn't as fancy. It's just kind of down their main street, but they saw a lot of good stuff, at their booths. And there we tried. I had to get a crepe at some point on this trip,
yes.
And so they had
with Nutella,
banana Nutella and Bailey's on top. So it was a good day. The next port we went to was Strasbourg, which was by far my favorite stop. Strasbourg has changed hands quite a bit through history between the Germans and the France. Always in between wars, they kept conquering this area, and it's currently owned by France. So they hope they keep it that way. It was the cutest of all the towns. As far as, it's a major city, but it's historic, and the amount of decorating they did for Christmas was crazy. So again, it wasn't just the city decorating with the highlights and the Christmas market area. It was in between every door. They would decorate with big, thick things like big teddy bears and sleighs and big chunky garland and ornaments, and it was amazing. So that was really fun to walk and just see business after business and how they decorated. Definitely beautiful. And then we were there during the day mostly, and we had the option to stay till 3, 4, or 5 o'clock, and we're like, well, we have to stay till at least 4 because it'll be getting dark around then. It gets dark really early there at this time of year. And we wanted to see all the lights lit up, so we stayed. It was just in time to be able to see some of the lights, which was cool. But Strasbourg is one of 3 capital cities of Europe. This is a place where they have what they're equivalent to the Supreme Court, the European Court of Human Rights, and they also have the European Parliament building there. So a lot of politics and lawmaking for Europe happens in Strasbourg. So the first part of our walking tour, again, we did an active walking tour, and I think we walked for it was like 4 miles or something. I don't know. It was a really long walk this day. It was cool, but we walked first through some gardens and saw an old palace, and then we didn't go inside, but then we walked all around the more modern part of town, and then the tour ended more so in the cutesy historic part of town, and just a real bustling city, very vibrant, but like I said, the buildings are all still very cute and historic. And there's where you find the Strasbourg Cathedral of Notre Dame. They're the 4th largest church, not as good as Kern, but this church was amazingly beautiful. And it is famous for its astronomical clock inside, which we did get to see move a little bit. We were there on a half hour, so it did a little dance. So that was cool. Strasbourg, you're going to see a lot of half-timbered houses, which is really fun as well. So they used to build them like that in case the cost of lumber was a lot, and if that family needed to move, they could pretty much deconstruct their house, keep their timber, and move somewhere else and rebuild. So interesting thought. I don't think of taking my house apart to move. I'm just like, I'll just buy new wood. But back in the day, that's what they needed to do. So Strasbourg Christmas markets were pretty as well. Lots of, again, different areas of town. So you could go into one market, check it out, then you exit that little area and then go into another one. So lots to see, lots to eat. What do we eat here? Oh, the pretzels.
Oh.
Oddly enough, we ended up eating a pretzel in France and the crepe in Germany.
Yeah.
We should have swapped those, but really they were selling the same thing everywhere. But I just thought, we haven't had a pretzel yet, and now we've left Germany. So we got a pretzel. And they have a very famous gingerbread maker, the queen of the gingerbread. So we scouted it. We had passed by her store on our tour, but we decided let's go back and find that because I want to try it. And they let us sample it, and it was really good. So we brought a bag of gingerbread cookies home. And then they're also make a lot of chocolate there. We ended up buying some with like pistachio and dark chocolate, and I gave them to my mom because she watched all my kids, and she said they were great. So, all right, so that's it for Strasbourg. And our last stop, we docked in Brioche. They never really talked about that city name. And they bused us to Riquewihr. So Riquewihr, we drove along the wine road, and which is basically miles of wineries, vineyards. So that was really pretty to see. Again, it's not like peak season to see them because they have been harvested, but it's still really cool. I can imagine they're beautiful in the fall. This was a little town that inspired Walt Disney's Beauty and the Beast.
So cute.
Yeah. So when Belle's walking through town and she's got her bread and singing her first song, the first scene, reading the book, this was a little town. As far as the look of a town goes, this was the cutest little town. They have kind of, based on the fact tourists come there, a lot of the shops cater to the tourists, so you get a good mix of local foods, some souvenir shops, some legit shops. They had a Christmas store there that is the Kathy Wolf. It's a chain, so it was in a lot of these places. But just to look at the buildings and walk along the cobblestone streets, it made it really fun. And they also had Christmas markets, extra booths set up in the area to shop the Christmas market. So that was our last hope. If we needed, if we need anything else to bring home, this is our last chance. So that was a really fun day. Finally, when we got off the ship, we had another private transfer back to the airport. So
Basel.
in Basel. So I didn't. This was my first time in Switzerland, and we drove to the airport in the dark. So I can't really count this as off my bucket list. But
You did get the stamp.
I got the stamp in the passport as proof. But river cruising is different than ocean cruising in that, you know, at night there's usually, you go into the lounge and your cruise manager talks all about what you're going to do the next day, and they give you a good idea of what to expect and what time they're leaving. So they really keep you informed with that. And then you really get to know the ship's staff more so than on a regular cruise. You have the same couple waiters and bar waiters and things like that are just always around and are so friendly, and just, you know, only like a couple people at reception. So you really get to know the staff. One time I walked into the lounge, and it was later in the evening, and they normally have a self-service coffee, but of course right now they don't want you to serve yourself. Don't touch anything, which is, you know, nice. But there was no waiter around, and the captain was standing there, and he's like, "Well, I can make you coffee." So I mean, the captain of the ship made us coffee. It sounded like for the first time making coffee from that station.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a machine. He presses a button. But just the fact that the captain of the ship was willing to make coffee for us, I mean, that's just really special. And so, I mean, you'll find like your hotel manager and your purser and all of that. They're so friendly and willing to step in and help out whatever's needed. So it was nice to really get to talk to a lot of the staff a little bit more, and they make it really special. So, and at night, some nights they'll bring on entertainment on board. Other nights they have their piano player, DJ, just playing some music. We had a little Christmas party one night.
Santa
came.
Oh, Lord.
Yes, and they gave us
everybody got presents.
It was awesome. I've never gotten a present before like that.
Yeah.
And then they gave this whole story about the Hungarian Christmas. Krampus. Either if you were good, Santa came and gave you presents, and if you were bad,
Krampus came
and like strangled you and threw you in the river. Or
it was weird.
It's really horrible. And so that night they said, well, the tradition is you put your slippers outside your room, and then you'll know if
You're
if you're good or bad, if Krampus came or if Santa came. And so guess who Krampus visited, and guess who Santa visited? Santa.
Krampus.
I thought that was pretty accurate.
No.
So that was a fun tradition to learn about. And then I came home and told my kids, I read them that story on Christmas morning. I said, so you're really lucky that we don't celebrate the demon Krampus as part of our Christmas tradition. Our cruise manager said that he was very horrified of Christmas his whole life. So
he must have been bad.
He must have been a bad boy. So if you have any questions about river cruising, we want to be your travel agent for your next trip. We can help you pick the right itinerary at the right time and on the right brand for you. We do represent all of the river cruise lines, so whether you want to cruise with Viking or AmaWaterways, Avalon, Crystal River, or Uniworld, those are some of the main ones. Talk, we can help you with that, and we want to be your river cruise specialist. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. I'll post our contact information below. And if you're thinking of doing a Christmas market cruise, which I definitely recommend, then reach out to us now and let's get you booked for this coming winter, and you won't regret it. So we took the Rhine River portion. There is another type of river cruise on Christmas market cruise on the Danube, which is very popular as well. Probably even more so the more popular option, that you get to visit Austria. Austria has a lot of markets, so that's a big part of your trip. So if you want to book that, let's get you booked now and for the best rates and availability. So call us about all those specials, and thank you so much for watching our video, and I hope you enjoyed the story of our river cruise, and we can't wait to go on more river cruises to be able to share with you. So, all right, have a great day. Bye.
Bye.